Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
I'm ready for the event.
CBS This Morning, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call the station for a voice check.
This is CBS This Morning. How do you hear me?
Hear me. Hear me.
We have you loud and clear from the International Space Station.
That is so cool. That is so cool. So cool.
We're going to begin, guys. Stand by. In 3, 2, hold, please, hold.
Look at her wedding ring bouncing around on her because that is so cool.
Oh, look.
Thank you, Mary. There you go. Okay, guys, here we go. Stand by. 3, 2.
This week, we're looking at eye-opening breakthroughs, and not just on Earth. Astronaut Karen Nyberg blasted off for her mission aboard the International Space Station in May. She'll be there conducting research until November. We are pleased to have Karen Nyberg with us from about 250 miles above the Earth. Karen, good morning.
Good morning to you. I'm happy that I can join you this morning.
We're going to talk to you in a minute about some of the science experiments you're conducting. But first, I have to say I think you're one cool mom because you left a 3-year-old son, Jack, at home. You missed his first day, I think, at preschool. How is that being away from your young son?
Of course it's hard, but we do have great communication. I send down a video to him every day that's about 20 seconds long, and my husband sends up pictures and videos, and our support people at NASA do the same. And so, you know, there are people in the military who leave their families all the time, so this is nothing unusual or new. There's people going through it all of the time.
Karen, I love looking at you in space, and you have to say, we love looking at your hair standing straight up. It's so cool looking for us down here on Earth.
Yeah, it's not too bad to take care of. Every so often, Velcro becomes a problem.
What exactly are you doing up there?
We have a lot of things going on here. The International Space Station building was complete within the last couple years, and now we're starting to do a lot of science. And so our day schedule is some science, and also we have maintenance of the space station just like you would have maintenance in your house. And we just had a Russian spacewalk to do some work outside of the space station a couple days ago, and then in a couple weeks, my crewmates Chris and Luca will go out on a spacewalk, and then another one the next week. So we have a lot of stuff going on.
Karen, one of the things that you're doing up there, you're doing some experiments looking at the effects of space on the human body, aren't you?
That's right. We actually are looking at quite a few things. One of the things about living in space is your body doesn't need things the same way that it needs them on Earth, like your bone structure. And we found that the degradation of bone in astronauts is way faster than an elderly woman with osteoporosis. And so we're definitely doing a lot of study on that. We found out recently over the past few years that several of the astronauts are coming back after long-duration space flights with vision problems, degradation in their vision. And we just this increment kicked off a whole suite of tests looking at ocular health.
Can you tell people, Karen, about your background? Because, you know, whenever you go to a high school reunion, there's always somebody that wins the prize for coming the furthest. That would certainly be you recently at your high school reunion. You come from a small town. Can you tell us what it was like growing up for you there and your dreams and ambitions then?
Yeah, it was great. A small town in central Minnesota, and most of the people that I graduated from high school with I knew since we started kindergarten. There were only about 30 of us in our graduating class, And so it's kind of a close class in that way when there's only 30 people, as opposed to some of the bigger schools where there's 600 people in your class. And I had a lot of great opportunities going to a school that size, and I think for me it was actually a preferred school to go to than a bigger one would have been, because it allowed me to not only excel in academics but also partake in sports and music, where in a bigger school I'm not a great athlete, and I probably would not have made the basketball team and the volleyball team and the track team. And so in a school that size, I was able to be a member of many teams and get a well-rounded base that helped me get where I am today.
Karen, this year, half of the newest class of NASA astronauts are women. What do you think that means for the way we explore space and changes in science?
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And I think it's a natural evolution of things that eventually more women are starting to get into the fields. You know, the first astronaut class many years ago, they selected all test pilots, and there weren't any women test pilots at the time. And so the people they were selecting from was men, and that's why it was men. And as we get more and more women that are excelling in these areas, we're just naturally going to get more and more women. And I think it's fantastic. It just makes everything the whole exploration experience just a lot more well-rounded to get as many different types of people as you can.
Karen, your bio on Twitter reads, astronaut by day, aspiring quilter, crafter, artist, runner by night, wife and mommy 24/7. How do you do it?
Well, right now I'm probably slacking on the wife and mommy part, and I'm actually slacking on the rest of it too, mostly playing astronaut. But I like to do a lot of different things, and it comes back to being well-rounded, like I talked about from when I was in high school, and being able to participate in a lot of different things. And I just, I think it's important for people to have hobbies and to have various things they can do at the end of the day when they get home from work, things that are relaxing to them. To me, it happens to be sewing. I could sew for hours. It's very relaxing for me, and I love to create things, and so it's very satisfying to me when I spend some time and create something, especially when I can give it as a gift. It just makes me feel very good.
Wow. And quickly, what is that ring bouncing around on your neck that we see?
This is my husband's wedding band. I have my husband's wedding band and also a little charm with a J on it for my son.
Sun Jack.
Sun Jack.
This is a first for us.
A first for us. Karen from space, wonderful to talk to you. Thanks so much.
I'm glad you could join us. Have a good morning.
That was very cool. Very cool.
Hold on a second. Hold, please.
Yeah. Karen, we have a signature, it's Nora O'Donnell, we have a signature line here in our program where we say, all that and all that matters. And we ask famous people and celebrities to do it. Would you mind doing that for us?
Sure. On your go.
Say, on my go, say, all that and all that matters. Go.
All that and all that matters.
That was nice.
Thank you so much. Safe travels.
Yay, Karen. Yay, yay, yay.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
That was very cool.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the CBS This Morning portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from CNN.
Station, this is CNN. How do you hear me?
Good morning, CNN. This is Station. I have you loud and clear.
Fantastic. NASA astronaut Karen Nyberg joins CNN's Leading Women live from the International Space Station. Karen, we're absolutely delighted to have you with us this morning. We've received questions from our audience all over the world via CNN.com, Facebook, and Twitter. So let's get started. Our first question, Simeon Birchall, CNN.com commenter, asks, is there huge competition for every seat on a shuttle launch?
Well, I don't know if I'd say competition. Definitely everybody that's in the astronaut office that wants to fly is very eager to do so, even if they've gone before. But generally it's kind of going in order of when a class is selected, they start flying people from that class. And then it depends on what roles are needed. If we need to fly somebody who's going to be the commander of the space station, most often that's somebody who has experience flying. If we need somebody who's going to be doing spacewalks, we need somebody that can do that. Back when we were flying the shuttle, there was a lot more specific tasks doing robotics ops and the spacewalks. Now on the space station, everybody pretty much has to do everything. And so it's a little competitive, I guess, but your turn comes along.
At Eliza Bev asks, what type of experiments are you currently working on?
This week we've been doing a lot of experiments on our ocular health. We've had noticed some problems over the past several years with many of our astronauts. They come back to Earth after 3 to 6 months in space and have long-term vision problems, changes in their vision. And so we're trying to figure out what exactly is causing that. We're doing a number of tests. In fact, this week Luca and I have been involved in numerous tests. We're doing tonometry, looking at the pressure of the eyes. We're doing ultrasounds to look at the morphology of the eye. We're doing fundoscopy to take images of the retina, vision tests. So there's a whole suite of exams that we're doing, and we're hoping that we can determine exactly what is causing this and hopefully mitigate the problem, especially if we start longer duration missions going to Mars or doing something else out to an asteroid, anything that's going to take longer periods of time. We really need to understand this so we don't degrade the vision of every astronaut that is going into space.
Well, one CNN commenter, Marek, asks, what do you think of the Mars One project, which aims to privately settle people on Mars?
Yeah, of course, I think it would be interesting. I think there are a lot of challenges and a lot of things that need to be figured out before that can be a successful mission. Mars is a long ways away, and we have a lot to learn. But I'm guessing eventually that type of thing, I don't know how many years from now it will be, but that type of thing may become standard.
Floyd Moore, aged 5, and Cam Bacall at AZ Challenger, both asking the same question. What is it like to sleep in space, and have you ever floated out of your bed?
It's actually quite comfortable sleeping in space. We have sleeping bags that we hang from the wall. And the first couple weeks when I was here, it was very important to me to feel like I was almost laying on something, and I would lay with my legs up like this, sideways in the sleeping bag. So I felt pressure along my back from one side of the sleeping bag, and I felt pressure on my legs from the other side. And it felt good because it stretched my back, and it made me feel like I was actually lying in a bed. Now I've become a little more adapted to it, and I can just float there. And no, I've never floated out of the bed. I'm usually zipped in pretty well.
Question from me. Have you given up trying to tie your hair down?
No, sometimes I wear my hair out. Sometimes I tie it up. I try to, when I'm working in close quarters with other people, I try to keep it. The main goal is to keep it out of other people's faces.
Under control. At Women in the Air asks, which women astronauts have influenced you? And did you meet any of them as an astronaut yourself?
Yes, when I was in high school, when I was certain that being an astronaut is what my goal was, it was a very important time when Sally Ride was making her first first flight into space, and she really impacted me. And also, just looking back, I did some research onto Valentina Tereshkova when I was in high school, because she was the first female to fly in space. And I actually did meet her last year for a brief moment before traveling to Baikonur as a backup for one of the missions. And it was just fantastic opportunity to get to meet her. I never did meet Sally Ride. I met her sister after her passing, but it would have been fantastic to meet her too. But I think those two kind of, the firsts, those names kind of stick in your head, and I think they really become inspirations for you.
Fantastic. At N Medio S asks, do you think there is intelligent life in space besides the people, of course, at the ISS?
Maybe we could beg to question that one as well. I don't know. I don't think I'm smart enough to know. You know, that the universe is so big. It's hard to imagine that there isn't something out there that's similar to our solar system and could provide what the Earth provides for us. But certainly we haven't seen that, and you know, maybe someday we will. And it's hard for me to say whether I truly believe it or not. I think it's possible. I don't believe we've seen anything, but I think it's possible that there is life out there somewhere.
We've been talking about the experiments that you're undertaking while you're there, and Fu Mei Martin asks on Twitter, how much physics and chemistry taught in high school helps at the ISS?
I think any type of scientific class or mathematical class or any class really that you take is helpful. Even if you don't use the specific fundamentals that you learn in that class, there is something about learning how to learn that I think is very important in a very broad spectrum. And the same for college. A lot of the classes you take, you're like, you think to yourself, I'm never going to use this. And you know what? Sometimes you don't. But I think it's the application of learning how to learn, even if you don't use those fundamentals again, that is the most important. But a lot of it you do use. It's good. The experiments that we do here, I think it's important for us to have at least some understanding, even though we are working directly with the investigators of the scientific experiments. It's important for us to kind of at least understand what's going on so we can help, and maybe we can see things and we can help them with their discoveries.
You must have had some amazing views from up there. Greg Wagner on Facebook asks, what one place on Earth would you most like to visit with only the knowledge of having seen it from the International Space Station?
Oh, wow. You know, there are so many beautiful places. I don't even know how I would answer that. I've seen some mountain ranges that are just absolutely incredible, and you know, I'd like to go see some of those. But at the same time, I've come along some coastlines that look just breathtaking, and so I guess I would have a lot of traveling to do if I tried to go to every single place that I thought looked like a great place to be.
Well, CNN Mexico commentator Luis Flores Gonzalez asked, if you were offered the opportunity to take a one-way trip to the deepest part of the universe, will you accept it?
A one-way trip, no. Especially the current situation I'm in with a young son and a husband at home. I definitely would not want to do a really long and definitely not a one-way trip. It might be a different story if I had family with me, but yeah, I'd have to say no to that.
All right. At Fadel Indonesia asks, when you read my message or listen to my message as you are now, what continent are you looking at present?
Well, let me see. We actually have a program here. We just passed over the east coast of South America, and we are heading up towards Africa. We should be there in just a couple minutes, and then we'll head up over Europe and into Asia.
In a couple of minutes' time. That is absolutely remarkable. One quick question. CNN Leading Women co-anchor Christy Lustad asks us, says that you're a bit of a DIY design geek, she hears. Do you get crafty in space at all?
I have been trying to do a little bit. Finding the free time, it's amazing. Time goes so fast, and in the weekdays, in the evenings, there's absolutely no time for that. Sundays is really my day, and I actually got a few things out the other day and drew up a design on a piece of paper and cut up some old T-shirts and have started sewing things together. I'm not quite sure exactly how it's going to turn out, but I have spent a little bit of time, and I have the supplies, so I'm ready to when I find the time to sit there and do that only. Hopefully, I'll get something done.
Karen Nyberg joining us from the International Space Station this morning. Karen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much indeed on behalf of our viewers and consumers at CNN.
Thank you so much. It was nice talking to you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you to CBS This Morning and CNN. Station will be resuming normal audio communications.